All right. Welcome back to the Iron and Intention podcast, where strength meets strategy. This show is about living deliberately, both physically, mentally, and professionally. We talk discipline, we talk wellness, and we talk about building systems that actually hold up under real life. Today's episode is especially important for anyone that's in a high stress, service driven role who feels like taking care of everyone else means putting themselves last. Today, I'm joined by Liz Porio. Liz is a registered nurse of 15 years. She's turned fitness and nutrition coach for nurses and healthcare workers. She is an integrative nutrition health coach and a Reiki practitioner. She helps people in healthcare get stronger, back in control of their lives without the extreme diets and without unrealistic routines. Liz is passionate about changing the narratives that people who care for others have to sacrifice themselves in the process. Liz lives in Western Massachusetts, where she's building a homestead with her partner and raising a big blended family. So she understands not just theory, but Liz understands physical fitness, nutrition, and how those things apply in the real world. Liz, welcome to Iron and Attention.
Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. Liz, let's start here. So you're a nurse. What kind of nurse are you? And kind of a follow-up question to that is, what do you wish people truly understood about the world nurses live in every day?
Good question. So, I have a unique position. I work in home health, but I describe it as psychiatric home health because the clients that I go in and see tend to have more severe mental illness like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, major depression. And we go in and administer their medications 1 or 2 times a day. This helps keep them in the community and out of crisis and inpatient psychiatric facilities. So we see these people 2 times a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Wow, that's so important. Coming from a first responder, a law enforcement side, what you guys do keeps those folks productive in society, and it keeps us from having to deal with them when they're in crisis. And that often
Mhm.
doesn't work out very well for anybody that's involved. So thank you for that. I
And
appreciate
you're
it.
welcome.
When you talk about real health, not the trends, not the hacks that everybody's talking about, give me two or three foundations of what that looks like for you.
So real health is just showing up and taking care of yourself. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I really try to keep things realistic for my clients, and that is just making sure you're getting your sleep, some sort of movement every day. I don't care if that's going for a walk. I don't care if that's doing air squats in the kitchen while you're cooking, but some sort of movement needs to happen. And then just eating real foods. So the shorter the ingredient label, the better. If you can just
Absolutely.
create a meal out of single ingredient foods like chicken, brown rice, frozen vegetables, like that right there is going to set you up for success.
That's all great advice. A lot of people eat so many processed foods, and with those processed foods, our body starts giving us signals or warning signs that, hey, you need more whole foods, better foods. What are some of those warning signs?
I would say headaches, dizziness, especially with position changes, because that generally means you're dehydrated, could also mean cardiac issues. So if you're somebody who is eating fast food or just junk food often, and you're having headaches, you're just not feeling well, you're trying to be active, but you have to stop. Those are huge warning signs where you really need to get to the doctor because that's a sign something is probably off. Or if your elimination isn't regular. So if you're not having a bowel movement every day or even every 2 days, that's probably diet and gut health related. If your urine isn't, on the lighter yellow to clear side, you're not hydrating enough. So your kidneys probably aren't as healthy as they should be.
Well, we'll circle back to hydration a little bit, but for somebody like me, I get on the scale once every few weeks, and a lot of people will judge their fitness level, their level of love for self, if that makes any sense, based off that scale number. But the scale isn't really the main markers that we need to pay attention to. What are some of the markers that tell a more honest story about your overall health?
I talk to my clients about this all the time because they do get frustrated. They're like, I'm checking my weight once a week, like you say to, but I'm not seeing the scale move like I thought it was going to be. And I'm just like, okay, well, let's chat. You're telling me that you have more energy. You're sleeping better. You're able to get through your workouts more efficiently. Your clothes are fitting differently. You have less brain fog. All of these are huge non-scale wins that people forget about, but they are just as important, if not more important than the scale changing.
I love that non-scale win, those non-scale victories. Most people only tie any success to that scale number, but there's so many
Mhm.
things. I'm working with somebody right now who just went from large tops. It's a female, and she went from large tops to medium, but her
Mhm.
weight's not moving much. But she looks fantastic, and that's a huge victory. So thanks for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
When we look at food as fuel, nutrition's kind of confusing right now. There's lots of fitness influencers, lots of social media. For me, as a personal trainer, lots of people can get the advice online, not have to pay for it, especially when it comes to nutrition. But when you hear the phrase nutrition for performance, what's a principle that you want people, your clients, to understand, both in the healthcare field and your personal training that you do?
Just don't overcomplicate it. It's so easy to
It is.
overcomplicate nutrition. Like when I talk meal planning, when I talk about macros, it's people just get stressed out. And I'm like, it's really, really simple. And so when I'm working with my clients and even building their meal plans, I start with a protein first and then build around that. And that's, again, the easiest way to do it. Grab your protein, add a healthy carb, add a vegetable, and you're good to go. Don't make it more difficult than it needs to be. I never learned how to cook. I didn't learn how to cook until I was in my 20s. So when working with clients, I make sure to make easy meals. They have kids. I want them to be eating the same meal as the rest of the family. So just making it simple, just throwing some chicken in the oven, even if you have to do like minute rice on the stove or in the frozen veggies, like you can have a very healthy meal in that manner. And it doesn't have to be something where you're spending hours once a week in the kitchen. It can just be something simple and basic.
So you brought up protein first. I obviously understand it for people, but for people that are listening to this, why is it so important for you to consume that protein first?
Especially if you're working out, your body needs that protein
Mhm.
to build and maintain that muscle.
Right.
And the more muscle mass that you have, the more calories you're going to burn at rest, which is going to help with that fat loss, that, changing the scale. Protein is a form of energy. Our
Mhm.
bodies need it. And so many people think, oh, yeah, I'm hitting my protein goals. And we start having them track. And then all of a sudden they're like, wow, I'm only getting like 60, 70 grams a day. And I'm like, yeah, we
Yeah.
should probably be doubling that.
Right. Right. I'm up around 200, 208 grams a day, somewhere in there. And sometimes I feel like I might need a little more, but I just can't fit any
Mhm.
more in. I kind of watching what I eat as well. So let's kind of make this practical for our viewers. A lot of the people that you work with, your peers, people in the healthcare
Mhm.
field, people in that are first responders or maybe in the military, we do get chubby from time to time. Life's busy, long days, long schedules, busy shifts. You grab the vending machine, you stop by the convenience store, and you grab stuff. If you were to give me advice on eating better and I handed you a plate, what would that plate actually look like if you were to put a meal down for me that I could eat?
Well, if this is a meal where you're able to sit at, again, I like simple. So
Mhm.
my go-to in my house for myself, my partner, all the kids, we do baked chicken thighs, we do brown rice, and we do sauteed or air fried green beans with garlic
Nice.
and olive oil. And it is a hit.
Yeah, and so you got some good fats going into there, both with the chicken and the olive oil. You've got a good starch and then a solid vegetable there. So all good
Yep.
choices. What about somebody that's eating on the run? Hey, I need to pack me a meal for today, but I'm going to be in the ambulance. I'm going to be tending to patients all day in the ER. I'm going to run from call to call. If they're firefighters, they might get like a cat in a tree. I make fun of firefighters a little. Sorry. They might get one of those calls. But so what would that look like packing that kind of a meal?
I love adult Lunchables.
Yeah.
So getting your like little lunchbox, throwing a ice pack in the bottom, and then just putting in just deli meat, chopped cheeses, maybe some grapes in there, a few nuts. You can do like just yogurt cups. I will also have my clients make their smoothies first thing in the morning and then sip on them throughout the day. So that way they have some sort of energy coming in. So that way they don't get to that, like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry right now. I'm just going to be ravenous and eat everything that's in the break room. So
Right.
that way, we're preventing the in the moment I need to eat. Like I'm a home health nurse. For years, I would hit the drive through every single
Yeah.
shift. But now, if for some reason, like I'll sometimes forget my lunch bag at home, but I'll go into the gas station, I'll get eggs. You can buy hard boiled eggs They have these little kits that have some deli meat, some cheese, and nuts in them. You can get yogurt. You can get like a chicken sandwich versus the chips, the candy bars, even some of the protein bars. Just
Yeah.
because it's a protein bar does not mean it's healthy for you. So again, the less ingredients, the simpler the food, the better. And gas stations do carry them. You just have to go to the other side of the store to find them.
Right. So in our businesses, they're very parallel in terms of the level of trauma, the level of stress, the level of busyness. Stress eating, emotional eating is for real.
Hmm.
And you've probably seen that in the healthcare industry. So from what you've seen, what actually helps to interrupt that cycle without guilt, without shame? How do you fix that or at least address it?
Well, two things. First, this is where protein comes back into play because if you're hitting your protein targets, those cravings are going to go down. You're going to notice those cravings go down pretty quickly. And then, second is before you grab for that food, really just sit and reflect. Am I eating because I'm actually hungry? Am I eating because I have not eaten in the past 6, 8 hours because things have been so busy and chaotic? Or am I eating because I'm emotional? I'm frustrated. I don't know how to handle this situation that I just experienced. And so taking that pause and really sitting with it and making sure that you're consuming for the right reasons is important.
You know, people argue endlessly about carbs, fat, protein, keto diet, carnivore, you name it, it's out there. How do you simplify nutrition for folks, especially folks like us who are busy and always on the go?
Again, just keeping it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Just again, simple proteins. A rotisserie chicken is going to go a long way. Just chop that up, piece that up for the week. Canned or like the little baggies of chicken or tuna. You can eat those on the go. When I travel, I'll often get the little bags of chicken and rice and I'll mix them together and I'll just eat out of that because that's better than going down the road to the fast food chain or even a restaurant that
Right.
doesn't have great options. So it's just being simple. Yes, it can be a little boring, but that's going to move the needle forward in your health and fitness goals versus kind of like this roller coaster of a diet.
Gotcha. So let's loop back to hydration.
Mhm.
Hydration is a super trendy topic right now. Lots of noise out there about it, but what actually matters? How much hydration, how much water does a person actually need a day?
I tell my clients, I tell my friends, half your body weight in ounces per day. And
Awesome.
that's just to keep it simple. Just keep it simple. Just keep, a cup of water nearby, your water bottle nearby. Just sip on it throughout the day. Uh, because actually feeling thirsty is a late sign that your body needs water. So if you're sipping throughout the day, you're going to meet your targets a lot easier versus getting till 6, 7 o'clock at night. And you're like, wow, the water bottle I filled up at 8 o'clock this morning is still half full. You don't want to be chugging that before bed because then you're going to have to get up and use the toilet and that's going to interrupt your sleep.
Right. Right. One of the things that I've discovered is that a lot of times those that hunger signal that I get, that or at least I think it's a hunger signal,
Hmm.
is actually my body's signal for water. And so I
Yes.
drink anywhere from 90 to 120 ounces a day and easily every day. And I track everything, but people don't get enough water.
Mm.
They get lots of soda or I don't know what we call it in Massachusetts, pop or soda or Coke or
Soda.
soda, okay. And they get lots of coffee. I'm guilty of lots of coffee myself, but, water will really give you some of that clarity of mind and keep your body fueled and going. Let's talk training. Lots of people jump into, new year, new me. I'm going to lose 50 pounds and they get sore that first week. They don't develop any systems that help them become successful. What are some of those big mistakes that you see people like even your clients that you're training personally? What are the mistakes you see them making?
A lot of times they get frustrated because they expect results in 2 weeks.
Right.
It's going to take a good 6 to 8 weeks, especially if you have not been consistent in the recent past. It's going to take 6 to 8 weeks for your body to really start adjusting to this new habit. So it's just kind of just keep pushing through, keep showing up, keep doing the workouts. And especially with the men, they think that heavier is better, where it's like, no, we need to spend a couple of weeks just priming the body. So for a lot of my clients who work out from home, I actually have like an intro week where I tell them, I'm like, I want this to be easy. I just want you to move your body and get it used to being in movement and having intentional activity before we start making things harder. because that's when you're going to have injury. That's when you're going to get frustration. That's where you're going to get the soreness that takes you out of the game for a couple of days.
Right. Yeah, I like that word intentional activity. So many people miss that intentional activity, whether it's just getting up and moving. You talked about that earlier, getting your clients to move. That movement promotes longevity. And
Yes.
that's what a lot, you see a lot of older folks suffer from that decrease of muscle mass because all they do is sit
Hmm.
and people just have to move. So if I was to ask you strength versus cardio, what should I do? What's your answer?
What you're able to do in the moment.
Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you have only 10 minutes, you can't really get a good cardio session in, but you can take that 10-pound dumbbell that's been sitting on the floor and you can get a good upper body workout in 10 minutes while
Yep.
dinner's cooking.
Yeah, excellent. So we talk a lot on this show about recovery, and I say recovery is where the real work is actually happening. Aside from recovery, what's one of the most overlooked habits that your clients need to know about?
Sleep.
Excellent.
Making sure that you're getting enough sleep. People will often tell me, I'm too busy. I can't get 7 to 8 hours. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you can. Can you check the screen time on your phone? Because I can guarantee you, you're logging more time on your phone than you realize. And if you can reduce that by 30 minutes to 60 minutes, you're going to get more time in bed sleeping and resting and recovering. And when you can sleep more, your body's going to be primed better to reach your goals, whether that's losing weight, whether that's gaining more muscle, running a 5K, whatever your goal is, it's going to be directly impacted by how much sleep you're getting.
Very good. So I know that you've dealt with this. People in nursing, you've got clients that you're working with and training, bad knees, bad hips, bad wrists. I mean, it runs the whole gamut, right? We These careers are really rough on our bodies,
Mhm.
physically and emotionally. But when you get somebody that's like, well, I can't do this because I have a hurt back or a hurt elbow, shoulder, what do you tell them?
Well, first, I want to know if they've been evaluated by their doctor first, for sure. And I always recommend physical therapy. I feel like physical therapists are some of the most amazing creative people on this planet. And then, if they've done that, then it's like, okay, like we have to really think about how we can still prevent further injury or pain while at the same time maintaining and improving mobility and then strength. Because in this field, we have so many low back injuries. Like I was assaulted by a patient several years back that took me out of work for several months. And it was because I didn't have the muscle strength or the mass at that time to really protect myself against injury. And so now going through that, I kind of know I'm like, okay, I understand what we need to be doing and focusing on the stabilization of, your low back, of your core, or shoulder injuries are really common.
Hmm.
So I know that I can't load somebody's programming with 4 or 5 shoulder exercises in one session. I need to split that up because I don't want them to be in pain where they can't show up or they have to call out of work or just, take a week's rest because it's too painful. So we'll
Right.
split that up. So it's just being very mindful and really asking good, detailed questions of what can you do? What can't you do? What causes pain? Where do you feel the tension? And working around that and just checking in and making sure that they're still able to, do the programming that's being prescribed without causing further injury or damage.
So nursing, super demanding, but it's not just physically demanding, it's emotionally demanding. And
Yes.
so what mental skills have you had to build to be able to stay steady under pressure?
Early on, I realized I could not take anything personally, especially patients who are truly in pain. They're going to say some pretty harsh things to you and you just
Right.
can't take it personally. Or if they're just frustrated with the system, it's not a healthcare system, it's a sick system and wait times are long and I don't have a magic wand to get you a sooner appointment or to bump up your test. And so just providing that space, holding that space for them to express their frustration, but also making it clear like I'm not your emotional punching bag either.
Right.
And then over the past couple of years, I've developed a gratitude practice. So on days where, whether it's work or just life, where I'm feeling very overwhelmed, I'll start going through a list of what I'm grateful for. And that really helps just change my brain and how I'm approaching things. And I notice that my body settles down more. Like I don't have that tension and heaviness in my chest. My breathing regulates and I can move forward with my day.
We tend to suffer from burnout. It's kind of a pitfall of the job. care very deeply. We attach our identities oftentimes to this career field. Sometimes we don't even realize we're burnt out until it's too late. What does burnout look like, and how can you pick up the signs of it before you're actually in that rut?
Yeah. Burnout's going to look a little bit different for each person, but from my experience, it's sleep that's interrupted because you're constantly just thinking and stressed. You're maybe taking homework and you're starting to take things personally from whether it's patients, coworkers, managers. Um, so you're not sleeping, you're not eating well. And so kind of eating that junk food is really just going to feed into the poor sleep cycle. You probably drinking more, so, like, I've been
Oh,
sober for about a year and a half, but I know for me, when I was drinking and I was having a rough day, I would go home and drink a lot more. So you got to look at that substance use and abuse, and then just how your body's feeling is just doing a body scan and really checking in and just seeing like where am I holding stress? Where am I holding tension? And taking time to reflect and see what's causing that and going into it. Sometimes it requires taking a day off of work, just a mental health day, or talking to your supervisor and seeing if you can get a different assignment, especially if you've been assigned a very difficult patient for a length of time. Sometimes you just need a break from that one particular individual just to allow your body to reset a little bit. But it's
uh,
not uncommon for nurses to having these habits where they're stress eating, they're not sleeping, they're turning to alcohol. I can't tell you how many colleagues will be like, "Hey, after work, let's go out for a drink." And then you just have this cycle of poor habits. It might not be one bad poor habit, but it's multiple poor habits that snowball. And then a year down the road, you're like, "Wow, I gained 40 pounds. How did that happen?"
mhm.
"Wow, my doctor just said I'm pre-diabetic. That just crept up on me. I have no clue how it happened." You know how it happened.
Yeah,
We just don't
yeah,
want to admit
absolutely.
it.
So what would be one mental practice that you personally rely on when life starts to feel heavy?
Gratitude, for sure. That's been the biggest game changer for me is gratitude. So it can be, I guess, a type of like meditation. I'll often wear a mala, so it's just a beaded necklace, and it's something I can hold in my hand, and each bead, kind of like a rosary, I will go through and just say something I'm grateful for. It doesn't have to be anything big. It can be like, I'm grateful for having clean water. I'm grateful for having a roof over my house. I'm grateful for a job. I'm grateful for a car that provides me transportation. I'm grateful to have shoes on my feet. And so by talking positively, either to yourself or even out loud, you're starting to change how your brain is thinking and responding to different situations. And even if it was a horrible situation that you were in, for example, I was one of the first people on scene for a horrible car accident recently. And I was grateful. Like one of the things I was grateful for was I was there.
Mhm.
I was able to provide immediate aid. As awful as that situation was, like I was there. I leaned into my training. So I was
Yeah.
able to make positive out of a horrible situation.
That gratitude is huge, and so, Liz, I'll share this with you and our audience. So I track everything from my water that I drink to every macro that I consume, every supplement I take, but the first thing I do in the morning is I open my electronic journal and I put in the word gratitude, and then I find 3 things to be thankful for. That can be for family, it could be for some days when I'm just not feeling it. It might just be that I've got a floor under my feet and a roof over my head. But other days, I can go on and on about everything that I'm blessed with. So thank you for bringing up gratitude because it's so important. And people that are in our respective fields have trouble expressing gratitude because everything is so negative that we deal with. And so
Hmm.
it's so important for nurses and first responders to take that moment or two, three, and think about what they're thankful for. Before we wrap up, want to leave listeners with something concrete. So if you had to give me 3 actions, one for health, one for fitness, one for mental resilience, what would it be? Go.
All right, drink your water. Drink your water. Get some type of movement in each day. I don't care what it is, just some type of intentional movement. And like we were just talking about gratitude, just find 3 things that you're grateful for that day.
Awesome. Liz, final question. What does living with intention look like?
Living with intention is engaging in actions that is going to move the needle forward in your life, whether that is going towards a fitness goal, a career goal, a family goal. So it is engaging in behaviors that is going to get you closer to that end game.
Awesome. Liz, is there some place that our listeners that would be located in your area would be able to follow your work or be able to reach out for training sessions for you?
Yeah, so I'm really easy to find on social media. It's just my name, Liz Porio, Porio. And I'm on Instagram, Facebook. And then if you're local to Western Massachusetts, I do teach some classes and offer Reiki sessions at Anahata Schoolhouse in Adams.
Awesome. Liz, thank you so much for being here and for the work you do, for taking the time to be part of this movement to try to get our nurses and first responders and veterans and those in high performance career fields, high stress career fields, to get them on stable footing so they can move forward physically and mentally. To our listeners, if this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs permission to stop sacrificing themselves in the name of service to others. Stay strong, stay disciplined, and live with intention. We'll see you next time.